Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. In today's episode, I'm talking to Alex Sullivan of EMS. EMS as in nickname for Emily, not EMS. Alex was a founding member of a global fintech company, and he's been building and investing in startups for 15 years. Alex is now founder and CEO of EMS, a digital agent for renters. Alex realised just how precious time was when, in 2015, his sister passed away, a moment that would shape the rest of his life. He spends every day helping people make the most of their time here on Earth. It's a man. I know, we haven't had a chat for a while, but I thought it was time. And also, Alex is a dad to 2 girls as well, and I wanted to talk about that side of things and how you're building that momentum for something brand new effectively, but also navigating early fatherhood and all that jazz and everything that throws up. So it's a really great chat. It's a little short one because he had to dash off to a meeting, but I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please come over and join the conversation over on Instagram at Nicky Raby, or if you want to come and see the show notes, go to nickyraby.com/podcast. I have a bit of a mission at the moment. I am actively watching my stats like a real geek, and I've set myself a little goal that I would love to have 1 million plays by December 2018. So if you want to be part of my mission and you want to help with that, I would love it. So please rate and review and subscribe and share with your friends. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Here's the episode. Enjoy. Sully, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Very good.
Well, you're our first gent for a little while, so I'm really pleased to be talking to you today. Yeah, exactly. Can you start by saying what you do and what your business is?
So I'm the founder of a technology company called EMS. EMS is an agent for renters. So she was born out of a desire to build something that was consumer-centric. So she acts on behalf of renters, helping them find their home and then move into their home.
Great stuff. And how did that begin? How did you know that it was time to start your own company and to do this and go out alone, as it were?
Yeah. Well, so the idea was born a bit different, but in terms of wanting to build my own business, mine was quite a personal journey. So I joined a startup at 23 and spent most of my working life there building that startup with the founders. And in 2015, that business was a big success. But my sister passed away in 2015, and I think for me that made me really assess what I'm doing with my life and whether I'm doing all of the things that I want to be doing, and whether my motives in terms of why I was still in the business, etc., were right. And I came to the conclusion that it was time I'd always wanted to have a go and build my own business. And I think that was the nudge that I needed. It was just a reminder of how precious time is, and it gave me the kick to get out and have a go.
Definitely. And where did you start with that? How long was the idea marinating, or did you try other things, or how did you get moving?
It's been really slow and painful.
Oh, that's so annoying. I thought you'd be like, I just woke up and it's done and it's sorted.
No way. I had this idea. For Ems because of some other businesses that I'd invested in, and so we started sort of building and deploying like a version of Ems, but most of those failed, and so we've been through a lot of iteration to really figure out what people wanted. So like the honest truth is, I would struggle to say like, when did it go from concept to live because it's all a bit of a mess. We started sending out stuff quite early, but when we first started, she was completely different to what she is now. And then when I had the dream of what I thought she could be, I didn't have any team around me to be able to actually create what I wanted. So it's been a journey of sort of testing different things, and then along the way being able to get enough sort of proof under our belts to be able to get more people in, and to actually start to build her in the way that we actually wanted. So formally we launched her last year. She was a week old on the 6th. It was our birthday. So formally she is a year old, and she went live February of this year officially.
And I mean, I remember when we met that lots of people around there were sort of, we had a round table where we all sort of sat down and spoke about our businesses, and lots of people were sort of personal brands and saying, I just need to get clear on my audience, or I need to do that. But yours was coming from, I mean, it seemed Billy Basic what we were saying in comparison to what you were building. Like, why am I worried about where that woman in North London drinks her coffee? But, you were building such a huge kind of concept, and what did that process look like once the sort of idea started kicking in motion? How did you sort of find your team, or find the people that you needed to assist and move forward?
I wish I could give you some pitch which made me look fantastic, but I think mostly I've sort of bumbled my way through it, is the truth. I sort of always have had this vision of what I wanted, but actually turning that into has been more challenging than I thought it was going to be. And each point that we sort of would deliver, we would realize the next problem. So to be honest, I would describe it very simply as, we put one foot in front of the other, and knocked down problems as we came to them. We started with what to me felt like the biggest issue, which is property search hasn't moved on. The websites that exist are basically classified ad sites. They're not a human level of intelligence for search, and most people need a helping hand to figure out what they want and where. So we started there, and then we just started knocking down problems. It's okay if we have a good search, but if people can't book appointments because no one gets back to them, then, and so we just, as we've gone, we've found more and more problems, and we've started to tackle them. Now I think that we have a broader understanding of the journey. We can better sort of prioritize which things we do first. And along the way, we've just met, I've met the right people, mostly through network and luck. I put things out and people have found their way to me. I am a bit hippie on this. I really do believe in like serendipity. Like if you look at most of the team that are around me, it's just happened. I've sort of put it out into the universe. I really need this sort of person to come find me now. I ask everyone that I know if they can help me find that person, and typically we've found them.
Yes. And, those things that our parents taught us of, as in don't be a wally and just be, you know, be a decent person and do what you say you're going to do. All those kind of old-fashioned values, they really pay off when you're trying to build something, because you need people on side who are going to get it and sort of try and shortcut the process, I guess, a little bit. And how have you done this with sort of fatherhood? Because we touched before we just started with recording. I hate that word balancing, but sort of merging the two of not only going from 1 to 2 children, but working with the unpredictable hours of sort of, you know, kids being awake, but also that sense of I actually need a chunk of 5 or 6 hours to absolutely nail this or to figure it out. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily work with a kid's schedule, nor a spouse's.
Yeah. It's challenging. I mean, I think, you know, my experience of sort of getting a bit older and being a parent is that I think, you know, I've got a pretty decent understanding of myself now. So, you know, I know what makes me happy, I know what makes me sad, and I know what my tolerance levels are for certain things. You know, I don't aspire to be a billionaire anymore because it would cause me to compromise things that I'm not willing to compromise. And so I guess I sort of have fairly firm ground rules now that work for me and work for the family in terms of what I'm willing to compromise and what I'm not. So, for example, every morning I take, I get up and I look after Ella so that the girls can rest because they won't have slept all night. And then I take Ella to nursery. And a few mornings a week, then I'll go and have some exercise time or some time for me. And that's my morning routine. And I'm not willing to sacrifice that. But then I get into work. I have a pretty jam-packed day, and it does go into the evening. And so I've said one night in the week, I will be home to do bed and bath. And the other 4, at the moment, I have to sacrifice to be online enough to build the business. And that's how Joe and I have managed to make it work. It is difficult. And my work rate is a lot higher now than when my first was born. So, it is difficult to balance it. But I know if I don't have a certain amount of home time, I'm not happy. I know that if the business isn't going as quick as I need it to well enough, I'm not happy. And I know if I don't get some exercise time, the same. So I guess I sort of understand myself well enough. And I have a really supportive home.
Yes.
Joe is really on board with what we're trying to do here and why, and understands.
And I think that's so key, because actually when you don't have those conversations, when you're in this sort of world of busyness of like, oh, can you just do this? Well, I've got to do the call, and you know, when you miss things with each other, that's when things start to become quite frantic and hectic and all the rest of it. You have such a, like, you just strike me that you have such a belief in yourself. Where does that come from? How do you know that you can do this?
Oh, well, I wouldn't word it like that. And it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of work to get to the days where I do have that confidence. I think it's really important as founders, we speak really openly to each other. I spend huge amounts of time not on good track or losing complete trust in myself. And I think when you're building a business, it's so easy to lose track of like what you're even good at, because you're doing so many things that aren't even your skill set.
And then you start to go a bit loopy and go, maybe I'll just be a PE teacher. I'll do that. That will be easier. Yeah, you do.
I've had several, I mean, when I say several, probably a week, moments like that. But I think I would sort of put it in 2 categories. One would be less that, more, maybe 3. One would be that I know myself well enough. And so I think, I have a pretty good understanding of me. And as part of that, I understand the things that I need to do to keep myself in good shape. So like exercise and stuff for me, and having some routine and morning routine is really crucial for me. Allowing myself to work the way that I feel that moment, that day is really important. Sometimes I might do 20-hour days back to back. Sometimes I need to take a day off and I need to rest. So I've got to know myself quite well. And I think that keeps my head in good shape. I think a lot of this is a mental it is a mental game. If you're in good shape, you're able to conquer anything, any amount of no's, and if you're not, it's really hard. So I focus on keeping myself in good check. And then without being sort of too deep, I have really got quite a profound respect for faith, and not the sort of necessarily religious faith, but I do have quite a sort of deep faith, and that has really helped me. And I think I just sort of have a fundamental belief that everything is as it's meant to be. And that generally reduces my stress, because when things don't go my way, I sort of genuinely believe it was supposed to go the way that it did, even if I don't like it or don't understand it. And so I tend to take the view that I can turn up and do the best that I can do every day. I can ask exactly the same of my team. Turn up, give everything, don't leave anything on the table, do the best that you can do. And, the rest is out of our hands. There's so much luck and timing and factors that you just can't control, that there's no more that you can do. And often if it doesn't happen, or you fail at something or a part of something, if you've given it everything, there's probably nothing more that you could have done anyway. So no point in worrying about it.
I heard that once as sort of taking the assumption that life is working with you and for you rather than against you, because I think sometimes people do that. Oh, it always happens to me, or, oh, I'm always in this situation. And actually, if you strip it back a little bit and then say, oh, actually, this has popped up again, and this is a series of patterns or behaviours. I need to look at this, because it's, it's dancing in a luminous vest trying to show me what I need to see.
I get back what I put out. I am a big believer in that. So I try and spend as much time in a decent, positive energy as I can be. But like I say, I don't want to sell something and make people feel self-conscious about it. Firstly, I don't live in that every minute of every day. And I have a really good group of people, my wife, my team, that pick me up and put me back when I need. And that, and that happens all the time. I think being a founder of a business, running any business, is incredibly tough, and you're rejected most of the time, and you live in fear of quite a lot of unknown stuff all the time. So I try and practice that, and I try and get it right more than I get it wrong. But some days are just crap.
Yeah, they are, and you have to go with it. And sometimes the best thing you can do is go to bed and try and have a sleep without a child trying to crawl in, and and wake up fresh the next day. Where would you like to be in 5 years' time? Do you have it all mapped out? Do you know what that looks like, or maybe what you want?
I mean, I have business ambitions, but I think probably more critically for me, I want to be happy, and the rest I sort of allow to happen naturally. I've had a really interesting journey, because I've been one of a reasonably small number of people that have done a lot of the things that I really wanted to do, and we scaled a successful startup, and I've had my own businesses, and and I have the benefit of hindsight that most of it didn't make me happy. So I think most people go through their life setting goals rather than really looking at what matters to them. And I've seen quite a lot of people quite close to me achieve their goals, but not achieve their life's ambition. And I've seen the impact of that. I've seen people sell businesses for hundreds of millions of pounds and then be in the worst shape they've ever been, because they realised that they just sacrificed quite a lot to get to a moment that they didn't even want to be at in the first place.
Yes.
And so I think for me, I'm still getting to know myself a bit. So I try not to be too prescriptive on, like, I want a car and a house and this many people.
I want a mock Tudor mansion like a footballer in the 90s.
Listen, those things would be nice. I'd love a swimming pool. But I sort of have a deep enough understanding that that stuff's nice, but it probably won't be the thing that makes me happy. And so I really try and be honest with myself about, like, what does make me happy, and try and have as much of that as I can in my life. What makes me unhappy, and try and have as little of that as I can in my life. And that changes. I used to be very driven by very, very large amounts of success, and there's a reasonable chunk of ego, and that's sort of reduced over time. Again, I think Emily dying and having my own children is, I have a happy, healthy bunch of people at home. I'm pretty grateful to have that. I have my own business. I'm pretty grateful to have that. Would it be fantastic if we were around the world and scaling and in TechCrunch, and that stuff would be cool. But fundamentally, sort of have most of the things that I want in life, I think.
And there's time, I've realised this, there's all time. There's a great book actually called The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte, and she always says, set goals based on how you want to feel. Know your 5 feelings that you want to have on a day-to-day basis, rather than having these landmarks in the future, like, I got my car now, I've got my picture for Instagram, and now I've made it. Oh no, I just still feel a bit dead inside. It's
and I've been there. And it's really painful. I went through this process where we actually mapped out, and we had to write this thing as if we achieved it. It was 5 years. Where are you in 5 years, and describe it. And I spent quite a long time getting to this point. And I wrote down, I'm walking along the beach, I've got my family, and I'm happy. That was it. It didn't say, and there's a supercar on the side. It didn't, that was it. And actually, that sort of is my some ambition. Everything else is surplus to that and can work around that. And I do have work ambition, but actually, those are the things that I know do actually make me happy. So it was interesting, because when we went through the process, I was working a lot, 7 days a week. And the question was put to me, do you think your life today is creating an opportunity for that? And the challenge was, if you only ever work and you don't have any other time, and you don't take weekends off, and then how could you have a happy family life? Because you would only be working. So, and that's where I try and set those boundaries of the weekends are my time, and the mornings are my time with Ella.
Lovely. Amazing. If people want to come and find out more about EMS and use the service, where should they go?
So for the service, you can go to ems.ai, and you can sign up, and EMS will look after you. And I'm sure you'll have it when you send out your thing, that there'll be a link with my LinkedIn, and I'm really keen to connect with founders and wannabe entrepreneurs, and I like to give any time that I can give to try and help people with advice and stuff, so people can feel free to connect with me directly.
Wonderful. And it's such a brilliant time at the moment. There's such a shift, I feel, and certainly for myself, I've realised that I sort of maybe wasn't dreaming big enough, and now I've now I've had a bit of kip. I've gone, I mean, it's only taken 2.5 years, for goodness sake, but it's now that point of going, actually, don't sell yourself short. You've got big things to do, and crack on. And
you've got forever to do it.
Yes.
That's one of my realisations lately. I am still incredibly young in my working years. I have as many years to go in my working career. That is a lot of time to do a lot of things.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And also that we can choose. My dad retired recently, and he just sort of did this, it was almost that, so I just went to the shop, and they didn't have any newspapers after all that. It was just sort of the end of an era, and it sort of wasn't marked or anything. And I want to continually love what I'm doing. But thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I know that so many people are going to gain so much inspiration from this today.
I hope
so. You're a wise chap. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.